What's up everyone, thank you so very much for clicking on this video. My name is Lou, and in today's video we will be reviewing chapters 592 to 621 of Hajime no Ippo, basically covering the entirety of the East Japan Rookie Finals and the fight between Itagaki and Imai. Now, needless to say, there will be spoilers for the manga as well as some anime spoilers as well. If you don't want to be spoiled, please just click out the video now, maybe go watch the anime or go read the manga. Like, there's tons of sites you can read it on now. It's really good. It's really good manga. They have great fight scenes. With that out of the way, let's just dive right in and get right into the story. We actually pick up where we left off with everybody leaving the arena after Ippo's fight. Now, like I said in my previous video, Ippo put on a show. Like, Ippo completely outclassed that fighter, and everybody's buzzed. Everybody's like, man, that was such a spectacular performance. Taki's a buzz too, because, you know, his senpai just won. But then Takamura poses a greater question to him. He's like, why are you so happy about this? Ippo just laid the groundwork to how to defeat a speedy or outboxer or a boxer type like you. He kind of thinks about it for a sec. He's like, oh, I never even thought about that. And he's like, you know, your final opponent Imai has been watching that fight. He had to like taking notes. Your plan to move around the ring the entire time and use your fast hands and feet to get away won't really work for opponents like that, because he's just gonna keep piling the pressure and put you against ropes and take you out. I really want to admit that Takamura has a point. In any case, he goes back to the arena to get Aoki, because Aoki's been in the bathroom since the previous chapters, where Takamura, just being the dick that he is, did that 1,000 years of pain, like that really weird technique that I remember seeing in Naruto, but I guess this was before that. Itagaki happened to run into Imai, who happened to be at the fight as well, and they have like an interesting exchange. Basically what goes down is Imai's kind of calling him out. He's like, you know, you took the safe route. You decided to join the same gym as Ippo. You never had any intentions of trying to challenge for the Japanese title or fighting stronger opponents. He says what Mashiba said in the previous arc, where he in his semifinal match against Makino, where he's like, what are you trying to achieve with this boxing? You're not gonna be going for any titles because you're at the same gym as Ippo and in the same weight class. So then they decide to take out a bet, and the bet is that if Imai loses, he'll do whatever Itagaki tells him to do. But if Imai wins, then Itagaki has to basically set him up with his sister. We find out this chapter that Imai has a crush on Nanako, which is, I mean, it's kind of sweet in a way, because he's like one of those guys, he sees her from afar, he just too nervous to go talk to her. And Itagaki's having none of that. In fact, he's kind of being a hypocrite, because he just told Mashiba he should lay off his sister and let her live her life. In any case, they kind of get in a scrape, but nothing too serious, just like kind of, you know, boyhood stuff, like just shoving and kind of like getting each other's face. Aoki comes in and breaks it up in his own way. I'm not going to mention how he breaks it up, just it's hilarious. He just comes in and steals the show like he always does. A lot of things doesn't happen leading up to the fight. It's basically a lot of minutia, but I'm going to sift through and give you the most important details. So Ippo and Itagaki are actually hanging out and they're watching Vlog's fight, and Vlog's doing pretty damn good for himself. I mean, he's in the IBF top 10. I think he's ranked 6 and he's fighting number 4 ranked, and pretty much sweeps him, just beats him, I believe, in like a round or 2. I'm not sure. They don't really give you a passage of time, but he does a signature, you know, white fang technique, and it's over. Ippo says something very interesting. He says he envies outboxers for their ability to switch up and change their mode of fighting. He says they can use their maneuverability and keep their distance, as well as changing angles and doing so many things like that. But if they ever get pressed, they can always start infighting. So he says he envies that, and that's something that Itagaki, you know, keep that in mind. Itagaki holds that, it's like, huh, that's interesting. For Ippo, you know, Ippo's always a constant challenger. He doesn't see himself as anything greater, even though he's ranked 12th in the WBC, I believe. But he just doesn't see himself as that great. He didn't even imagine himself as a champion, which isn't a surprise to us, us fans of the series, because Ippo's the constant challenger. He's never even a champion when he has a belt. But that's aside the point. Next really important thing that happens is they run into Ippo's friend slash older bully slash biggest fan. I'm gonna butcher his name, I'm gonna do it anyway. Umizawa. Yeah, I'm gonna have it up here somewhere on the screen. Run into Umizawa, who had just won an award for his fishing manga, and you know they like seeing him doing big things. It's a good relationship now. I mean, he started as a bully, but they have a good relationship now. They actually go visit him at his home, and another interesting thing is told to Itagaki about Ippo. Umizawa basically says that Ippo was seen as the dark horse, and you have yours in an interesting position because Ippo was in the finals himself, and you can just use him as a wellspring of knowledge. Ippo is kind of weird, because Ippo doesn't have the information that he really needs, because for Ippo, he doesn't see his valuable information. He's like, I don't really know what to tell you. You're talented. I don't know how to handle somebody so talented, because he doesn't see himself as talented. We cut to a week before the fight, and Itagaki and Ippo are having their final sparring match. In their final sparring match, you know, Itagaki's doing his normal routine. He's using that maneuverability, using his speed, his fast lefts, his crazy fast straights. He's just taking them down a peg. And Ippo is just sitting there. He's internally like calling out the shots that will come next, like what he's gonna do from here, what he's gonna do from here. Ippo just keeps calling the shots, like what's coming next, and all like back and forth. Eventually the match ends, and everybody's like, "Oh, you did a great job." And the coach asks Ippo, "So how do you do it?" Ippo kind of like very non-confrontational about it. He basically says, "Oh, he's in good shape. He should be fine." And he goes off. Takamura, he's reading all into that shit. Takamura's like, "So you gonna tell him or should I tell him?" He knew that Ippo was predicting all of Itagaki's moves, and he knew he could have knocked him out anytime if that went another round. Itagaki walks upstairs, you know, via the coach's, Kamigawa's orders, and he, you know, stumbles onto their conversation. And Takamura, being the character he is, he just blatantly says it. He's like, "Look, you're lacking. You're not gonna win. You don't have unpredictability." He's like, "Are you telling me my strategy won't work? Are you telling me I'll have to slug it out with them?" And then this is where Ippo comes in, and Ippo's like, "It might work, it might not. I just feel that that's probably gonna be your better option, but just forget what I said." See, even now, Ippo doesn't have the confidence to be like a senpai to his Kohei. He's basically telling him, "Yo, you have to infight. You have to stand your ground and bang with them. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts." This is a death sentence as far as Itagaki goes, because Itagaki's an outboxer. He doesn't have the devastating power that Ippo or Imai has. He's not that type of fighter. He's stick and move. He's Muhammad Ali. He's not a Mike Tyson. All right, that's the best way you have to think of this. Cut to the night of the fight. Itagaki's in his dressing room. He's warming up. Everybody's worried about him, including Ippo. Of course, Ippo will be worried about him. But he's not acting out of the ordinary. He's quiet, and he's not as boisterous as he normally is, but he's not acting too unfamiliar. So we cut to the match. The match begins, and just like we all thought, Itagaki does exactly what he says he's going to do. He's going to use his outboxer strategy, and he just constantly like uses footworks to maneuver around that ring, peppering Imai with that jab, just keeping him at bay, throwing those straights. Imai's just, you know, holding his ground because, you know, infighters like him, they keep that solid guard and just walk forward. They just move forward to just cut the ring up. Halfway through the first round, Itagaki decides, you know what? I'm done with this. He stands his ground and decides, like, I'm gonna mix it up with you. I'm gonna fight at your level. I'm gonna meet you in your own level. Imai's kind of like, come on. And he feels disrespected, so he like shoulder checks him to move him back. And this is where Itagaki kind of gets back to his old like style. He decides to be disrespectful and hit him with this pretty... Okay, so this is like not as disrespectful as uppercut as maybe I'm showing right now, but like to me it's pretty disrespectful because he just went floop, and all you see is this man's jaw. It's just the, you know what, the art style is so good, and the fact that it just seemed disrespectful, especially after getting like pushed or shoved or shoulder checked or whatever. Yeah, Itagaki's not backing down. He's like, no, we're staying right here and we're gonna bang. We're gonna throw down, and they do. The first round is just constant, just peppering them, just springing them, just pow, 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 catching them with all these combos. Imai doesn't know what to do at this point. Imai's actually thrown off. He wasn't expecting Itagaki to be this time, like come at him like this. But it's just like Takamura was saying, he lacked unpredictability, and that's his most unpredictable thing he could have done, was decide to infight with an infight. Round two begins, more the same. He meets him dead in the middle, and they start banging again. They start throwing hands, start like just mixing it up. Eventually, Imai does catch him with a punch, but it's shallow. Itagaki, as Imai was throwing his punch, stepped forward, and he basically like took away a lot of the force behind that punch. Although for us, at least the way it was like drawn, it looked like he took a solid like shot to the eye. It's getting to the point where Itagaki is like literally headbutting with Imai, and he gets cut open, and he's got blood over his face. It looks like he's been in that fight for like 3 rounds when it's only been like a round and a half. It's actually mentioned by Miyata, who's also at the fights, that he's like how ingenious it is that he's using his footwork inside his infighting. He says this is the pinnacle of infighting, to use his fast footwork to slip and like dodge punches and counter off of those dodges. It's really impressive how he's able to hit and not get hit. You know, the pinnacle of boxing is to punch and not get punched back. In fact, these first 2 rounds, I would heavily just give them to Itagaki. Even third, going into the third round, he's got this high. In fact, he gets that glowing green eye thing. I don't know, it's not drawn, it's not colored, but he gets that fighter's high. I guess it's different from that determination look that the other fighters get in the show or the series. But he gets that like glowy eye effect, and in the third round, he just keeps mixing it in with them. Just keeps It's just so impressive how much he's adapted to the infighting style. Anyway, eventually Imai does land a couple like consecutive body shots. Those body shots, especially heavy body shots, do take their toll on you, and especially on a guy who uses his legs a lot for like maneuverability. It's gonna start cutting that down. Itagaki's not phased. He keeps going there. He's actually pressuring. He hits him with the hedgehog techniques and backs Imai against the ropes. Anyway, the third round ends, and it's like I said, it's still Itagaki's game. Now it's a 6-round fight, and so far it's 3 rounds all for Itagaki. Just it goes without saying. Eventually Itagaki goes to the corner, and it's a little weird because he's starting to get out of breath. He's starting to feel weak. And they're asking me if he's okay. Yeah, those liver shots really got me. We go up to the stands, and Ippo actually asks, hey, how many times was Itagaki hit with those body shots? And they notice, oh, it's 3 times. And Ippo has this like strange look, like 3 times, huh? That's not really good. Come to find out that because he's gotten hit with those heavy body blows, his footwork is completely gone. He can't use it if he needs to. He literally is right there, sitting in the pocket and fighting Imai. Bad for him because he doesn't have the same punching power or ferocity that Imai does. So it's kind of like a BB gun versus a hand cannon, if that makes sense. Itagaki is using his incredible speed and incredible volume of punches to land more, but now Imai is starting to like turtle shell up, doing the that odd turtle shell maneuver and just eating those punches, biding his time, watching Itagaki's feet. Because he's not able to move as well, but as soon as he settles, that's when Imai is throwing heavier blows. He hits this man with one of the most devastating punches I've ever seen, like so far in the manga. Not so much in the anime. I mean, the anime is a totally different beast with the sound design. It's whatever. He hits him with a really flush punch, and I love the art style. It's just, it looks so vicious. This does hurt Itagaki, but Itagaki, he's about that smoke. He keeps to his plan, and he keeps throwing a lot of punches. But every now and then, Imai keeps landing one solid punch here, one solid punch there, and eventually the round ends. Itagaki is a spin. Imai's pretty clean, actually. He's not got any blood on him other than the blood he's gotten from like the head collision, but he's really pretty clean. He doesn't have any like swollenness or anything. He's looking pretty fresh, honestly. Itagaki on the other hand is looking beat up. And he still got 2 more rounds. Goes back to his corner, and that's when he just reveals, like, look, I can't move. I only have one option, is to mix up with him. And they're like, dude, you have 6 minutes left in this fight. This is gonna be heavy. Eventually, Coach Shinoda, I think, gives him words of encouragement, Agatsu, which is just hit him with guts, or hit him with your guts. The 5th round was still more or less that, like, he was landing the high volume punches, but now Imai is starting to land more combinations, and he's starting to put more heavy damage on him. He's starting to really take a toll on him. This 5th round was probably the hardest round for Itagaki. Imai completely took it. In fact, the 5th round is where he fell. I think it's the 5th round he actually knocked Itagaki down. The first knockdown of the fight against Itagaki. And remember, this is still rookie, so in the Rookie King tournament, 2 knockdowns is out. You're completely done. That means you lose. Doesn't matter if you get up or not. This is where Ippo steps in and finally starts acting like a senpai. Like, to me, I'm like, Ippo, just like help your dude out. Like, give him advice, cheer him on, like be there for him. Itagaki's sitting there, he's out. Like, he's unconscious. They're about to call the match. The referee's about to say he's out. Ippo shows up in the nick of time to give him some words of encouragement. Well, he doesn't give him words. He basically says his name and then gives him a determined look. Itagaki, I guess he gets that confidence. He stands back up and he's like, I'm ready to go. This round, when I'm not exaggerating, I say these last 2 rounds were probably the worst rounds for him, but the 6th round probably was a lot worse than the 5th round, even with the knockdown, because Imai's heavy blows are really starting to take a toll on him, and he's beating the brakes off him. At one point, they're both starting to cheat, because Itagaki's using the rope to like start dodging these punches and slip them and like do whatever, and Imai hooks his arm and just starts, it's some like WWE type-ish, type shit, whatever. It's they're cheating, low-key cheating. Somehow, some way, maybe some god of martial arts or god of fighting like smiled upon Itagaki because he survived that 6th round barely, because he was like a couple seconds out. He was just about to go down from this vicious exchange they had with Imai and like just face plant. But Imai caught him, and it goes to the judge's scorecard. Now, like I already stated earlier in the video, Itagaki won the first 4 rounds handily. I mean, if you look at the volume of his punches and the punches landed between the 2. Anyway, sorry to bury the lead, but Itagaki wins the tournament. I mean, obviously, he had won 4 rounds. Like, I've read this 3 times. he's won 4 rounds consecutively, so I wouldn't be surprised by it at all. So yeah, Itagaki won the tournament. He actually won his division, and he got Most Valuable Player, or MVP award. But unfortunately, because he's in the hospital, he can't accept that award. At first time when I read this, I didn't think much of the fight. Most because, honestly, I guess I got spoiled by Ippo's fights, especially his last fight. But this fight was incredibly engaging. It's actually a really good fight, and if you haven't read it, I really suggest you reading it because it's a really good and engaging fight. A little long for me, but still a relatively good fight, especially those last, like, I would say the last 3 rounds, because the back and forth and the amount of strategy involved and just the pace that was pushed on both of them was really good and very well executed. But that's just me. Now we're moving on. We don't know what's happening next. Hopefully we get Ippo a fight soon again. I know I keep saying that because I do like Ippo's fights, and I'm not trying to down Itagaki. I think this is a good finish for him for a while. I think he needs to take a break because transferring back and forth to characters isn't good for my attention span. And I know that sounds horrible, but just how I feel. I'm just saying. Thank you so very much for watching this video to the very end. I greatly appreciate it if you leave a like, a comment, as well as subscribing. And I hope that you all are taking very good care of yourself. And I hope to see you in the next video. With all that out of the way,